Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to round number 6 of the AMF GT Series here at Monza. My name is Scott Newton. Apologies for the small technical delay in getting this stream going, but alongside me is Sam Fitzpatrick. We've got a cracking 90-minute broadcast coming up ahead, and so looking forward to today's event. Yeah, absolutely. We just got the grid coming up right now on screen. We've got Lee Vandenberg on pole position, Danny Davison in second, Ross Rizzo actually in third position. And yeah, just scrolling through quickly as we're about to take to the start of the grid. As we're coming around the Parabolica right now. Just waiting for the pace car to come in, and we'll be underway for 90 minutes, and Lee getting a very, very good start. So they're going 2 to 3 wide. Over the start-finish line, you got Danny Davison and Ross Rizzo going side by side into the Ready Filio chicane for the first time. 2 to 3 wide in the background. See how they navigate the first chicane, and everyone hard on the brakes. It looks as though that everyone's getting through cleanly so far. And everyone's just laying up a little bit too much, but it looks as though that everyone's made it through safely, which is very, very good to see.
Whatsoever around this circuit through those first couple of chicanes to get through unscathed. So yeah, a good responsible driving from these guys, probably realising that it is an endurance event. There's plenty more opportunities later on to gain some places.
As we see that Timothy Phoeben hard off into the barrier. A little bit of a commentator suggested, no, certainly not a rejoin you would have wanted to see from Tim as he enters back onto the racing line. And yeah, taking out a couple more cars as well. And yeah, we got the safety car deployed from that incident there.
Season, I think.
Yeah,
we've been waiting for a safety car for so long, and well, not a bad time to deploy it, I guess. But that will really mix up the action now with the 2 pit stops that these drivers must make. With the safety car, that's turned this race on its head, and I imagine that's something that many of the new drivers who haven't experienced a safety car this season, they're not really going to be familiar with how to deal with this. So it's going to be a steep learning curve.
yeah, certainly. As yeah, we've got Alex Skinner, fellow commentator as well. So welcome me in, Alex.
Oh, good afternoon, gentlemen. Apologies. Everything has gone technically hilariously wrong, so I'm just getting everything sorted.
Yeah, so the driver's just going to catch up to the safety car now, but yeah, pretty close still. So yeah, go through the first chicane once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to bring up a replay of the start. It's kind of take a look on board from Phoeben's point of view, because he was in a battle pretty much right from the start. So see if we can get on board with him. So I got a bit of contact through I think it was Davison, which put him back, and then everyone's trying to get around the outside of him. Just a couple of cars off in the background actually, and that's the one of the modern engineering Porsches going side by side, and it was actually one of the Fusion Sim Racing cars. I think that potentially may have been Huppets that caught up with Phoeben, and that's what sent him around, and then yeah, just that concertina effect of that rejoin as well, not necessarily being the safest idea. which ended up causing the safety car, and it was the 729 of Lee Kogan up on his roof there. So certainly not the start that we would have wanted to see.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'm not sure how many laps we're going to get under the safety car. So are we going to get one more after this one, you think? Or do you think now that the field's just been neutralised, we're going to be able to go green straight away?
Well, given it's the first safety car of the season, it'd be difficult to say. We may see a message from the admins. See that looks as though the safety car is peeling away, so we will get a green flag this time around.
Opportunity to restart this race once again. And yeah, Lee Vandenberg's going to have to try to cover off these drivers for the second time in this race. Pretty much his choice when to go after they get through the parabolica. Quite spread out our drivers at the moment. Not too much pressure being put on by Dal. And Phillips in third position. Stillberg just waiting. He really left that one for a while, but we are back under racing. A few drivers further down the order. Again, a very good launch, and a couple of drivers as well coming into the pits as well, trying to serve one of those pit stops right now. But it's Lee Vandenberg leading the way. Huggen, I think, just being able to get ahead of Phillips potentially. And the breaks down into turn one, and it's further too wide, further back as well. Big tire smoke, and that is. So that's a Jewel, I think, off the circuit. I think George has had some issues as well. Pat Gallo as well losing a place further down the order. And so it really did come to heads, a little bit more of a chaotic first chicane than we had earlier on in the event. Certainly out in the lead, the just trying to get more into single file. That was Ray Watson, I think, just getting ahead of Scott Forsyth for 6th position. So Phillips gets in clear of Huggen. So poor start really for Berg. Scott, I'm not quite sure what happened to Berg there. Did he run wide at turn one?
To be honest, I think he clipped the inside curb, and that gave him the slowdown penalty, because there was no way that he was going to be giving up 3 places from the just the first chicane alone. So I think he would have copped the iRacing slowdown penalty on the inside there. So by cutting that chicane a little bit too much, and yeah, falling back into 4th place, certainly not what he wanted. But in that Ford, we've seen how dominant that car is with Ross Rizzo at the helm. He's currently down in 21st place at the moment. So Ross being caught up in that first lap incident, or potentially going into the pits. They said that he's actually going into the pits as well to serve one of his mandatory pit stops tonight. So yeah, we'll see how his charges tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to see earlier on, Scott, but did anyone come in to the pits under the safety car earlier on?
Okay, so of the drivers that have pitted, I'll just get this up on the timing screen. We've got Nathan Huppert is the leader of the drivers that have pitted. Then Dale Braid, then Kelly, then Vlock, Bowden, Whitesell, Hender, and then Davison, Rizzo, Gallo, Healy, and then it's pretty much all the way down to 32nd place that for the drivers that have taken 1 stop so far.
Yeah, so quite a divide already, and that will really play out later on. I mean, usually these 90-minute races, they can be a bit cagey for the first 60 minutes or so, but when you get into those final 10 minutes when all the pit stops have been made, it can really reach a climax, can these endurance events. So the order that you see at the moment, lots of change going to happen, and it is a bit of a mixed up order as well to start off this race anyway. Should be a good opportunity for the drivers. As Pat Gallard, I think just losing a place there, I think, to Healy. Maybe that was just Healy defending down into the Ascari chicane. A little bit of a poor exit as well for Gallo, and we'll do well to stay in the tow of the driver ahead. The Just about to move on to lap 6 of this race, and the top guy is still mega close. That was actually Andrew Dyson on that last lap saying the fast lap of the race, as it really does seem as though Gallo's going to lose a few more pace. There is Dyson, and just right onto the tail now of the driver ahead, and this is a good place to be for Dyson now. In the draft of the driver ahead, saving a little bit of fuel, and he might even go for the move here on Berg. Of course, going to the outside, that'll extend his run. Porsche, not usually a very strong car down the streets. We really saw it weak at Interlagos a week ago, and that straight line speed hurting him a little bit there. Couldn't get past Lee Vandenberg. Of course, was the leader of the restart.
Yeah, certainly the Porsche certainly more favouring of the Titan Twister circuits, but with Monza being one that has quite a lot longer straights and all that sort of thing, it's certainly going to hurt the Porsche, as you say, with just outright pace. Certainly being in the tow will enable Dyson to be able to save a little bit of fuel and at least stay within the top sort of 5 or 6 drivers, as Forsyth losing a place to Rudd into the Ascari chicane. So a great move for Rudd, moving up into the 8th position for Phoenix Motorsport.
Yeah, I mean, Huppert's right. Huppert's right with these guys as well. Did you say earlier on that Huppert's has already pitted?
Yeah, Huppert's is the leader who has pitted, or leader of the drivers who have pitted.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think Huppert's in a massive advantage here. I mean, compared to the guys who haven't pitted, you know, he's 5 seconds off the lead. So when they come into the pits, he's going to be miles clear. I would have thought, at least. But that just seems too obvious for the other drivers not to come in. I mean, Hub's still got the drivers to pass. And well, this is looking a little bit risky for him at the moment, trying to negotiate these couple of fighting drivers just ahead for Forsyth and Rudd. You got to think that he's got the big upper hand. Of course, we saw Rizzo with a fantastic strategy at Barber, kind of reminiscent of this. He was able to just wait behind drivers. In the end, he had such a big advantage, taking his 2 pit stops very early. But Hubbard's still having to wait behind, and he is losing quite a bit of time at the moment. Probably more important for him is the fact that he's got some of the drivers who have already come into the pits closing in behind him. But Nathan Hubbard, who hasn't won a race in this championship for about a season and a half, I believe. I don't think he took a race win last season, albeit did manage to score a couple of podiums. Of course, runner-up a couple of seasons ago to Timothy Beeben. But this would be a massive improvement in form if he could manage to take this race win at Monza. I'm sure it would be a very satisfying win, but a long way to go. Of course, still got about 80% of this race remaining.
Yes, we've got Brett Hender trying to close off on the back of Michael Healy as well. So that Gallo's lost another place to Hender within the previous lap, so Gallo a little bit off the pace, but having said that, though, he has gained 13 positions from his starting position. So, but looking at the pit time, or the box time, he's only taken just a splash of fuel, so he'll be in at least one more time at a longer stop for fuel as well. So he'll lose a little bit more time in that sense as well. So Hender past Healy, making a mistake out of the Parabolica as well. So up into the 18th position for Hender. So it could move up into the Rettifilio. Turning our attention to the front as well. The gap is only 0.3 of a second between the leading Porsche of Byron Phillips and Ben Dowell in the Ferrari.
Yeah, Dowell all over the back of Phillips right now. Can't help but feel like there's some tactics being played, although he was 0.3 of a second fast on that last lap, so it may just be a recent phenomenon there. He's been able to close right up to the back of the race leader. You can see how many places they have gained. That early incident, and then a safety car, and then whether or not you pitted has totally messed up the order of this race. A little bit wide there for Dowell. I don't want to do that too many times, Alex, because I don't know about you, but I've had plenty of hard crashes at the Ascari chicane over the years. So yeah, worth keeping it within the track limits when you can.
Yeah, indeed, and it's always a difficult one to keep it in the track limits here at Monza. Of course, one of the more, I'd say, tighter restricted circuits on the calendar in terms of how the iRacing protection system works. So it's still one that you can really utilize all of the space of the road, and really allow yourself just to sort of push yourself out slightly wider and get those better runs. But of course, in a GT car, especially ones such as these, it's always a bit more. Personally, it's always a bit more interesting to see how much these guys actually push the limits.
Absolutely, and some real tall curves as well, which is yeah, big enough deterrent, at least to cut the corners. But as you say, when you're extending the track, it is very easy around various one of these corners, as Scott Paul's side, with a still got Rudd just ahead of him, Dylan Rudd, and then behind Dyke and Braid. What's happened to Hupperts? Hupperts has come into the pits for a second time then in this race, and so well, that's bold from Hupperts. It really just couldn't be bothered to spend more time behind these guys, but he can't go to the end of the race. So I don't really know what that strategy is. Maybe he got a penalty or something. That's a shame for Hupperts, who had a good chance. That's a very good result, and that has kind of gone away from him now at this point of the event. Yeah, we'll have to see if it comes back to him later on. But yeah, that is a major blow for him. As also just trying to line this one up now on a little bit of turbulence through the high-speed parabolic corner. He should have a pretty good chance there, as we've got actually a change for the lead. Ben Dowell has just taken the lead off Byron Phillips, I think, down into turn one. And so Dowell now leads ahead of Phillips, albeit I think Phillips might be trying to come back at the moment. Also Rizzo and Kelly alongside one another. Rizzo making up place, a little bit of damage actually on that Ford, it seems, and he is up into 13th place.
Yeah, beautiful little move into turn one for the Ford. The tricky Esports car over Rizzo. Good to see Ross as well. And of course, very competitive driver in his own right, as most of us will know by now. But it's also good to see the Ford actually performing relatively well here at Monza. Of course, I believe now actually one of the slower GTE cars in the field, as we currently now have Will Orton and Drayson currently fighting. They're not too far behind Berg. So Ford versus Porsche. And I have a feeling one of those Porsches, maybe two of them, are about to get a nice, easy run towards the outside of Ascari. But late racing for Orton gets the move done, up into 4th place now.
Yeah, made that one look pretty easy, and now he's going to hope that these other two drivers start fighting with one another. Dyson losing a place there, and yeah, Vandenberg just not with the pace they had in qualifying compared to these guys. Ford already slightly out of the trotting, might be able to repel this one. There was a moment earlier on this lap where the top 6 were very close, but I think Berg made a bit of a mistake, and that really put these couple of Porsches were on his tail. As here comes Dyson. This is going to have to be a brave move if he is going to make it. You see Rizzo right at the back there. Of course, already making a pit stop, as have a few of these drivers. We've got 3 wide going out of the Parabolka. Well, this is a good speed test, isn't it? 3 different manufacturers. Who is going to win it? They are dead level. I mean, take a screenshot of this. It's a fantastic promotion for the championship. And the BMW looks pretty strong on the inside. The Porsche, though, holding its own, which is unusual. And that is great driving there, Alex, for those guys not to collide.
Yeah, as you said, 3 different manufacturers all vying for one space of one little bit of tarmac, and well, all managing to get through. No contact, no argy-bargy, and no tears to be shed. But of course, that BMW is so strong on the power and even on the brakes here. The Porsche, great car out of the corners, but once you get it up to its top end, it really does start to struggle a bit. And that Ford, I'm still struggling to find a positive point about it at this point this season in terms of GT. But of course, it is still a very stable car, very stable platform, and one you can still utilise to the full advantage. But of course, Daniel Yemen will now start to pull away in that BMW, looking behind at Whiting's Porsche. About 8/10 already as he heads down towards the sky.
Yeah, trying to get out of the draft range. Takes a bit of curb there on the inside. I'll do that too many times. Could get a bit of air damage as... Oh, that's contact and... that's 3 cars involved. That's Ross Rizzo, championship leader. And I think everyone's favourite for the race win because it's Rizzo. Can never count him out. And he constantly got involved in a collision here a couple of seasons ago, and he's got involved in another collision now. And if he's got damage, I mean, the actual time loss for Rizzo wasn't too bad, but the damage is not going to help after he already had damage beforehand. So very problematic race. Great to get a replay of that as Scott Neeson's on this one. So here was, whose fault was it then? You got the 499 ahead. Oh, it was Rizzo's fault, really. Maybe a bit of netcode. Tried to brake and then the BMW came sliding in as well. Real unfortunate mistake. And, well, I think Rizzo might be making a tour down the pit lane to serve a penalty very soon.
Wouldn't surprise me. A very, very rare mistake to see from Rizzo. But, of course, a mistake nonetheless. And hopefully that won't cost him too much time in the grand scheme of things. But of course, you don't want to lose too much time around here because it's very difficult to gain it back. But now we're currently having a look at that fight between Whiting, Dyke, Bailey. Is just a gaggle of cars really as they head out of the second Lesmo down towards Ascari. BMW, Ford, Porsche, Ford and Porsche once again. God, makes you feel like it's an IMSA WeatherTech race around here with the manufacturers we've got in this little group of cars. We're just missing a Corvette, and then we've got the whole field. But of course, through Ascari, hoping for a run is Whiting. And a run I think he's about to get off of Ascari in the slipstream of the GT. We'll try and maybe have a look to the inside of the Parabolica and get a run down the start-finish straight. Later on the brakes, Porsche very, very stable mid-corner. And he gets a beautiful little drive out. Not over yet though, because of course, Dyke still has the chance to get in that slipstream, tuck in, and even Bailey's having a look here. So Bailey might have a look to the inside. It might be another 3 wide moment as we head towards the first corner. As close can be. That is, I believe, Bailey, yeah, down the inside. It's going to make a move 2 cars, potentially, in the space of 2 corners as they come out and head towards Cabrado.
Yeah, it was almost like a bump draft there from Dyke. Didn't want to overtake. Whiting, and he kind of got himself a bit boxed in the end. But here comes Whiting. He's trying to undo one of those overtakes from Bailey. They leave each other room just as he did at the first chicane. That is good driving. Battle's still not over. And Whiting will go to the inside. Very experienced driver is Michael Whiting, of course. Bailey doing a good job at holding on, but there's just no relief around this Monza circuit. As long as you can stay within about half a second of the driver ahead, then you can be a little bit slower than them, but yeah, stay in touch via the slipstream. They're looking a little bit more promising than he did. So Dell still ahead of Phillips then. Half a second between the two of them. These really been the class of the field. Of course, Dell did overtake Phillips. I think it was about 5 laps ago or so, but hasn't really changed the dynamic of the race too much. Neither of them have a big enough pace advantage to really pull away from the other. Tom Hagen 2.1 seconds behind Lee Vandenberg, looking much better than he did earlier on. Vandenberg back ahead of Orton then, back up into 4th, and on that last lap, that looked pretty good. Yeah, he was the fastest driver of the top 10, pretty much the fastest driver out on circuit on that last lap was Lee Vandenberg. So if he was a bit slow to get started, he's getting into his rhythm now. With only 3.6 seconds to catch up to the leader, he's still well in this one. Orton and Dyson also in play. It's really refreshing not to see Ross Rizzo up there because it really does give an opportunity for these other guys to have a shot at the race win, albeit with the picture of many drivers coming into the pits for an early pit stop, this race could still change very much, as we've got a stop and hold, and that's a big penalty, Alex, for Ross Rizzo. And we'll take a screenshot of that, because Rizzo never gets involved in incidents like that. And even for a guy like Ross, I think that's his chances of a good result tonight probably dashed.
Yeah, it is. And it is a big shame to see Rizzo slapped with a stop and hold. He is one of these guys that, as we said, very rarely makes mistakes and very rarely gets involved in incidents. And he's one of the cleanest drivers of the field that we have in here at the moment. And, being slapped with a massive penalty like that, a big stop and hold, it's very unusual to see.
Yeah, just a reminder of how this one happened. This was about 5 laps ago. So this was just the lap previous, I think, or maybe the lap after, not quite sure. But yeah, Rizzo outbraking himself and coming to blows with another driver down into the parabolic, as he does now serve his stop and hold penalty, and send him way down the order. I think he can still get a top 10, Rizzo, but I think a podium is probably a bit too much from here on in with this good quality field we've got, as Michael Healy just ahead of Rob Bowden, and that was a move for position. Healy with some good pace, actually. He'll be disappointed that he's not further up to take advantage of the chaos that we've seen, because he's similar pace to Dowell and Phillips and Huggin and co. But is making some decent moves. He's about 20 seconds off the race lead at the moment.
Yeah, of course. And you saying that a top 10 is possible, the podium's out of the question? I don't know. If we do end up having another big incident like we did see at the start, that did force safety car, I know it's a very rare chance here in the AMF GT Series, but it is still a possibility. So we could see things turn on their heads, and of course, we also still could see that lead turn on its head. 6/10 now between Dowell and Phillips, with Huggin only 2 seconds back now. These two, again, the laps they've been running, as you said earlier, class of their own, and they have been so solid. But of course, only 26 minutes in, still over an hour to go here at Monza. They've got traffic in front of them now. Of course, traffic will still play a part of this regardless, so it's just a case of how well these guys can get that traffic. Meanwhile, in the background, that looks like Van der Berger getting past Huggin. It is. So that is that Ford up into third place. You know how I'm saying I couldn't find anything positive about the Ford? I think I've got to find something, because it's suddenly finding some speed underneath it. A 44.5 for Van der Berger. And that also looks like Forsyth with Vlok right in. So he's actually not far off the back of Breda either. So these three dicing now for P9. And let's see how these guys can do as they head up through Curva Grande. Such a beautiful corner. If you can get a decent toe and get a very solid shot through the chicane, you can really push yourself up towards into the Lesmo. Later on the brakes into Porsche, so strong under braking. It just struggles sort of later on in that braking zone. And then up towards the first of the Lesmos, the Corvette of Vlok just following in tow, just trying to find any sort of way to get past these two, and just not really possible to at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, having to bide his time. Good, we'll come to him later on. This event is sponsored by Beyond Blue, and there is a donation link to Beyond Blue which help with anxiety and depression in Australia. So if you want to support a real fantastic cause, there's a link in the description below, and you can send a donation amount to that. We super appreciate it, and yeah, we're very pleased to be supporting Beyond Blue with their work on this stream. Ben Dowell still leading the race, half-second clear of Phillips. Runs a bit wide though. This could be Phillips' chance, albeit I can't help but feel that when Phillips was in the lead, couldn't pull away from Dowell. So what's the point in leading and not getting that draft? These drivers all on a fixed setup, remember, so you can't change how much fuel you start for the race. Everyone should be able to go about 50 minutes, 55 minutes on tank fuel. I guess around this place, high fuel consumption probably only 45 to 50 minutes for this round. It's so we might see the drivers go that far. We might see the drivers just go to the 45-minute mark, getting a new set of tyres, and then kind of having the same amount of laps of tyres for both the first half and the second half of the race. Plenty of different strategies to play out, but Phillips is looking pretty good here, saving a bit of fuel, and that might give him a bit of an advantage when it comes to the pit stops. Vandenberg now only 2.5 seconds off these guys. Really looking like the fastest driver out of this lead pack at the moment. It's a gap, yeah, to 3.5 tenths of a second. It'll probably, the pit stop's probably going to be kicking off in about 10 minutes time. As we see, so close are these drivers. Dyson onto the back of Orton. Orton looked really strong earlier on, but as well as Orton's got slower, it seems like Vandenberg's got faster, and now Dyson's got a bit faster as well. And I think this is might just be a matter of time, this safety.
Yeah, indeed. We did also see Hogan get past Orton not too long ago, but as you said, Dyson now in the toe of Orton. Will he be able to get through and get down the inside of the fellow Porsche driver? No, not going to be able to do it here. But as you did say, you did mention though, Phillips wanted to pull away earlier on. It's better just to sit in the toe, let Dowell sort of pull him along. And even if Vandenberg does get closed up, you know, in that fall, which that gap seems to be, you know, sort of stabilising itself out at the moment. He's saving fuel, potentially saving tyres. He's going to make that second half of this race so much better for him. That's over the curbs, clattering over the curbs. Quite a lot of the first part there was Orton. And Chancellor's not actually too far off the back of these guys either in that Ferrari. He's about 3.5 seconds off. So he can close through, and obviously in the background you see one of the BMWs, but is sadly a lap down to these guys at this stage. But of course, if that Ferrari can get close, that will really help Chancellor out as well. Just looking down the order, you don't even see Rizzo in the top. God, I'm trying to see exactly where he is. Yeah, you don't even see Rizzo in the top 20 anymore. And that's, you know, which is a big. 27th. He's in the. He's in the 27th. Yikes! That penalty just shows how hard it has hit the title leader. 27th. He's making his way up the order very slowly, but it's just an accident that didn't need to happen, and it was at such a weird time as well.
It's the good news for Rizzo is that his. I don't think there's really anyone who is near the front who's going to be challenging him for the title. No Danny Davison out here tonight. Of course, James Scott has won at Silverstone already this season. And there's a very select few drivers who can really take him on. Oh, there is Davison, apologies. It just shows how quiet a race Davison's had. Davison can still get a good result out of this, to be fair. I think he's already made a pit stop. You can see that car is clean, and now he's ahead of Matt Bailey. Davison, I believe, with the one pit stop so far in this event. So he will be moving up later on. Yeah, watch out for Davison. Actually, yeah, one pit stop being made on the first lap, and actually took quite a bit of fuel to Davison. So it's very tricky to keep up with everything that's going on as Bailey comes back down the inside, locking the brakes. Oh, he really doesn't need this, does Davison? And Bailey, probably best just to pick his fights, to be honest, because I think this one's inevitably going to be lost. But the AMR Esports driver still fighting it, and the outside line into this second chicane can often be very profitable. Davison will have to be gutsy on the inside here, and well, he does get ahead there. Takes a lot of curb, needs to be careful of the slowdown. But he seems to have gathered that one up, and now will really try to just escape off into the distance. But of course, your best chance at keeping an eye on the strategy is by clicking on the link below to our live timing webpage. You can click on that, so then you can open up live timing along with the check map as well. to locate where everyone is out on circuit. And yeah, you can compare lap times. You can see the gaps between each drivers. You can see the lap that each driver came into the pits, how many pit stops each driver has made. Some real useful stuff. That's provided by SDK Gaming. So yeah, click on that live timing link in the description below, and you can get yourself a web page with all of that information, because it will be tricky to keep up with everything that's going on with this race.
Yeah, it is indeed. And meanwhile, we did just see Sanders make his way down the inside. But now we're going to move back up to the fight for 9th place on track. This is a beautiful 4-car fight between Breda, Vlog, Forsyth and Healy. It's Ferrari, Corvette, Porsche and Ferrari. It's almost 2x2, because you can see in the background, obviously, Broaden isn't that far away. But we'll see what happens here as they make their way towards the first Les Mills. That Porsche, of course, are getting very aggressive onto the back of Vlog. And actually, that's a point. Vlog must have gotten back past Forsyth at some point, because Forsyth was ahead, if I remember correctly. So, Corvette did manage to make a position up. And hopefully the power of that car will manage to pull it closer towards the back of Breda.
Yeah, this is quite a diverse quartet at the moment, all on different strategies. I've tried to get my head around strategy, unfortunately, with a few of the technical issues we had earlier on. Oh, Bowden. Wow, that was close. Jeez, Bowden almost skimming the wall just in the background. I have a bit of damage to that car going through the gravel. But yeah, I've tried to get my head around the pit stops that everyone made, because unfortunately I missed the first couple of laps of the race. But Adrian Vlog is currently the top of the drivers who have come into the pits. However, Vlog literally came to a stop and then got back going again. He took no fuel, didn't take tyres. I think probably the guy in the best position right now, perhaps the favourite for this race, is Michael Healy, because he's running in 12th position and took 31 seconds worth of fuel. I think he took tyres earlier on, so he will have old tyres come the end of the race. But he's going to have a way shorter pit stop than everyone else. Tyres aren't going to be a massive problem as well around this track. So Healy looking really good. And just a reminder, if you're just tuning in for this broadcast, we had a safety car, our first of the season, in the first couple of laps of this race. Many drivers came into the pits to get one of their mandatory 2 pit stops complete. Many drivers didn't. And these drivers that we're currently watching, the majority of them did come into the pits. The leaders did not come into the pits, and so it's really created a divide in the strategy at the moment, as Braid is about to lose a place. Braid, who started from the pit lane, by the way, he has done well to get up into 10th position, but Healy really needs to clear him, because Healy 22 seconds off the race lead. A pit stop is worth about 30 seconds. And so he does need to be able to clear these guys, but they are losing each other so much time right now, Alex, and this could be problematic for all of these drivers. They just cannot get past. Apologies, Healy cannot get past.
Yeah, but of course, these guys trying their best to get past, even if they're quicker. Meanwhile, Healy to the inside and Fred through the parabolica. Beautiful, beautiful moves. Actually going to allow Forsyth to have a look as well, because that Ferrari is going to get slowed up. And actually, Forsyth might have a chance to make 2 places up, because it's not going to be the best of exits for Healy. So both Ferraris are going to be holding themselves up. They're going to go side by side as they make their way towards turn 1. Early on the brakes goes Forsyth. Meanwhile, those 2 in front. Healy still there, still trying to keep that car in front. He's got the move done. Kept it, held it into turn 1. But now Brad's got to look in his mirrors again, because he's got a Porsche snapping at his heels. They make their way through Curva Grande up towards the second of the chicanes here. Not far back is Hender either in that second Ferrari. He's only about 8 tenths away, so he could be looking for a potential move. Jansen's not far back either, and not the best of exits for Breda either. But I doubt that Forsyth's going to have a look into the first Lesmo. Not really an overtaking spot unless you're exactly alongside going in. You're most likely going to wait for the run on the exit of the second Lesmo, which he is now. So we'll put his foot as flat to the floor as he can, probably fit through the floor of that Porsche to try and get as much acceleration and power down as possible. As I head towards Ascari, it is a 5-car train here for 10th place, and no one really able to pull away from each other at the moment, and they're not far off the back of Vlok either, who's now in 9th.
Yeah, and Janssen also with a pretty good strategy right now. So Janssen will try to be getting past these guys quick. Forsyth though up the inside of Braid, and Braid's going to have that done to him a few more times, I think, in the next couple of laps. Healy into the pits. So that is Healy then to go to the end of the race. That'll be his last pit stop. That is interesting. I'm not sure what the logic there is from Healy, because I don't think he'll be taking tyres, as that is phenomenal braking there from Dale Braid, and he's got back ahead of Forsyth, who is very annoyed. I don't think it's really worth those guys fighting one another. I think it's probably best just to stay in line. As also, what's that? So Rizzo coming into the pits, Healy coming into the pits, and Hender also into the pits. And they will be fueling their cars up to get to the end of the race. Healy already on pit exit. So that's the diversity of strategies that we have out here. We've got some drivers now who have pitted twice. We've got some drivers who have pitted once. And we've got some drivers who have pitted not at all. The order that you're seeing right now on screen is certain to change. Phillips has just got ahead of Dal, I think. There we are. I think Dal just went off the circuit. His position board flashed in red, and I think this mistake has given up the race lead.
Well, we're about to see into Ascari. The car, oh, big jump over the curb there. Doesn't lose the place there, but it does on the exit. That is such a horrible place to lose the car. The rear end coming out slightly bit too tight on entry and then over the curb. And managed to keep that car straight, which is always an impressive thing to manage. So it does allow that Porsche back into the race lead. But of course, we're now on board for that replay, just looking into the braking zone. And yeah, a very, very unhappy car over the curb. And just a very nice and easy save from Dowell. Beautiful job by him. But obviously, as we said, does lose him the race lead. Does also allow Van der Berger to get closer. He's only 1.8 off the back of these guys now. As we look at a fight between Dyson and Norton. Of course, none of the top 8 have stopped yet this race. The first of the stoppers is Vlok in 9th. So he's actually in a very good position, as I believe we mentioned earlier. These guys actually not far off 4th place Hagen either, so they're going to be looking to try and maybe work together to get to the back of that Ferrari. They haven't got too much to do. Track temp. Well, the track's actually quite nice and cool here at Monza. So doing a beautiful job today. 25 degrees Celsius. Not too bad at all for the tyres. They'll be very, very happy indeed. But out of Ascari and down towards the Parabolica. Dyson in the slipstream. Will he go left? Will he go right? Well, seems that Alton's not leaving him many options, but they'll move left. Dyson will go to the right. He's going to dip back in, hit the brakes early. Knows that if he goes by here, he's just going to have to struggle going in. And I think that Bredda's just had a moment as well, because he is about to drop behind Forsyth. And no, Forsyth and Bredda both drop off. So maybe having to avoid something there, or maybe Forsyth had to avoid Bredda, which let Janssen through.
Yeah, not sure. Janssen's now a little bit ahead of them. I'm really confused what happened there. Yeah, here we go. So Braid ahead of these couple of drivers. Janssen's the 3rd one in this train, so you can see he's a bit further back. Braid goes into deep over the curb, and they really slowed them up, and Janssen is like, thank you very much. Just go straight through the middle. And that was a lot easier than what Janssen was thinking. Janssen with a great chance at a podium, remember, tonight. So he is the leader. Well, he's 2nd place out of drivers who have pitted, but he's the leader of the drivers who have taken tyres so far. So could be very good for Janssen come the end of tonight, and that was an important move. Could be an important move come the end of the 90 minutes, which we're nearly halfway through. It has absolutely raced on by this event. Hump us up into 16th position now. Huppert's already coming into the pits twice in this race. I didn't understand why he came into the pits twice, because he's still got another pit stop to make, because he doesn't have enough fuel on that car to get to the end. But we'll have good pace. Huppert's very quick driver, and yeah, getting past Cooper right there. Is 42 seconds off the lead, by the way, it's Huppert's. As Dow is into... No, he's not. I thought Scott Newton just pulled off some absolute mad mind tricks there and preempted Dow's coming into the pits, but he was just trying to break the draft. I think Phillips. Well, that was a big left-hand coast down into turn 1. He's saving fuel. Very close behind as well. Back markers well involved in this one now, so it's tricky to pick who the front runners are and who the lap drivers are. But the top 6 still separated by just 4 seconds at this point in the race.
Yeah, that's what's extremely impressive about this. Like, you could pretty much see the top 6 in an entire shot, even with the back markers sort of in and amongst of these guys, which is absolutely amazing to see. 6 GT cars within a few seconds, as you said. But Dow still running really well. Actually got a short, like 7/10 gap, which is actually, I think, the biggest that gap has been for a while. Meanwhile, Huggenaughton and Dyson all within a second of each other. Orton having a look at the back of Doug, and they've got traffic in front of them as well. So here we go down towards Ascari. Van der Berger is about a second ahead of Huggen at the moment. So the Ford not actually getting away from the guys behind him as such, but still actually closing in on these leaders, only 1.6 away. So we will see indeed. But towards the Parabolica, that Porsche getting ever closer to the back of that Ferrari. A flash of the headlights, just going, hello, I'm here, would you like to play? And I think Huggen's going, maybe late.
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these guys comes into the pits. We're now halfway through the race. And, of course, you have to change tyres during the event. It's absolutely mandatory as per the rule book. And so if they want to get out of this, if they don't want to play, maybe coming into tyres and avoiding that battle might be a good option. But not taking that up at the moment. But yeah, Berg, Huggen, Orton and Dyson still chasing down the top couple of drivers. Just comparing their lap times with Vlok and Janssen, who of course already come into the pits. Top of the drivers who have already come into the pits. And they're kind of matching one another. High 44s, maybe mid 44s actually, for a couple of these lead runners. And then also dipping into the low 45s as well. Huggen really looking vulnerable, and he's not within a good draft range now of Berg. He has got the Fishy Motorsports car, though, just ahead of Rob Bowden, however. So he will be able to nick a draft of him, and that might just be his saviour right now. But now, Bowden might be getting in the way as they race through a sky, tricky to follow the car ahead. Got to really pick your line well. Those curves absolutely treacherous on either side of the track. Huggen just cannot shake off Orton as Phillips has just taken the race lead from Ben Dow. Another change of the lead. I think that's maybe the 4th change of lead between the two of them. And there is Phillips. In fact, was that just Phillips defending? May have just been Phillips defending that. As they're dealing with a lot of back markers right now. Going to get past one of them. Oh, here comes, I think that was going to be a move from Dow on the brakes, and Dow has been able to take the lead. There he goes. He is up ahead now, so it's another change, but Phillips now with the better run. And through Curva Grande they race. Gap to Berg, still at 1.8 seconds, have lost each other a couple of tenths with this battle, and that might be a couple more tenths down into the chicane, but Phillips backs out of it, lifts and coasts. Oh, that's too much curve. Sure, there's going to be a slowdown there for Phillips. No, he's got away with it. But yeah, 3 tenths now separating these top two as they got yet more traffic. Another Fishy Motorsports car to deal with.
I think think these guys will be getting fed up with those Fisher Motorsports Porsches at the end of the race. Of course, not for any bad reasons, but just I think seeing the back of the same car for more than 3 laps starts to get a bit wearing on the eyes, especially if you are the race leader. But meanwhile, Hagen trying to find any way to keep that Porsche of Orton behind, but it's going to be a very late dive. There's contact between the two. A bit of netcode, but I still have a feeling that would have been a crash either way. So round goes Hagen. Dyson goes through. It might actually even allow Orton through, but it might allow Dyson through as well because Orton was slow. After the exit to the outside goes Dyson. Ooh, very, very close indeed. He's not going to get the run off the exit. Got very loose coming through the central part of that corner. But of course, caution out. Not surprised then. What did I say, Scott? Oh, sorry, not Scott. Sorry, what did I say, Sam? I said, do you have a caution again? And one has magically arisen. So, for Rizzo at the moment, he is going to be thanking his stars that this has come out because this essentially might bring the championship leader right back into this.
Yeah, it could do. He has got his couple of pit stops already done, has Rizzo, so that would benefit him, I think. These guys, so it was a really awkward time when it came out. Oh, what? Dal needs to keep up the pace there. Come on, Ben. You need to race round because everyone's going to be coming into the pits. You can see Keeping's coming into the pits, Sanders come into the pits. Everyone who hasn't come into the pits twice already will be coming in. So it's worth Dal to put his foot down, get round to the pits, and get that pit stop done. Otherwise, he's going to let all these other guys catch up to him. But I'm not sure that will be the case.
Everyone else is stuck behind the safety car at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think they can overtake the safety car. The safety car should be picking up the race here, so I don't know why Lee Vandenberg is waiting behind. I wonder if these other drivers are asking Lee to move by, or maybe there's some communication from the admins, just letting the drivers know, stay behind the safety car here, and so try to make it a bit more orderly. Often we have a manual safety car where one of the admins jumps in and does it themselves. But yeah, I think the admins at the moment, probably over the radio communications, just saying the drivers know what to do, telling them the speed that they need to be going at, telling who to go behind the safety car. But if they are cruising for a little while, this is going to be a massive benefit for the race leaders because they'll be able to come into the pits and whilst everyone else is crawling, and look at the speed that they're going right now.
I have a feeling they need to let the safety car catch up. I have a feeling that they may be in front of it by mistake or something, and that they're slowing down to let the safety car catch up because they are not even going 70 kilometers an hour here. So it would not surprise me.
Yep,
yeah, you look at these guys, 100 Ks. Yeah, that will be why Van der Berger has not gone by the safety car because, well, the 3 in front of the safety car at the moment shouldn't be in front of the safety car. So, as the Porsche will pull around, you will see, the 3 leaders here. Dowell, I said 3 leaders, the 2 leaders, and one of the back markers will be sat making their way towards Parabolica, and there is the ginormous train of cars. Now, let's hope no one else has any accidents on the safety car because we don't want to see what happened the last time. But of course, for a minute, I thought Van der Berger had somehow managed to take the lead because I was like, oh, why is he sat behind the safety car and everyone else isn't? It was kind of confusing.
It was a really odd time for the safety car to be pulled because I guess the safety admin fault for yellow.
Oh, admin fault for yellow.
Well, it's made quite a difference now to this race. Oh, well, yeah, everyone's going into the pits, so that's no surprise. But this has wrecked the race leaders' race. I mean, this has totally changed the race because now that we got a safety car, everyone who's pitted twice already has a huge advantage. And
unless
the race
everyone is being told to come in. No, they're not. Okay. I was going to say unless everyone's being told to come in due to it being an admin error.
Well, no, that could be a good shout, but Rizzo, has decided to stay out.
Up to the lead.
Yeah, he's the leader of the race now.
What did I tell you, sir?
Well, yeah, I thought he might get a top 10, and he's leading this race. He has pitted 3 times, has Rizzo. and he's now leading this race. But I don't know if that's an admin fault. I mean, I'm sure the admins are furiously working away,
If
well,
anyone
we'll
wanted to
see.
claim that the series has got a conspiracy out at all, then now would be the perfect opportunity. These things do happen, though. It is very easy as a race director and an admin to make these, the smallest mistakes. See something, think it's bigger than it is, and then call it straight away. I've done it myself. It's very easy to do. But of course, the admins here at the AMF GT Series, very experienced, very much know exactly what they're doing. It does happen. And of course, they'll be working away to see what they can do. They may even just, let it roll as it is. Of course, car's getting waved around at the moment. So Rizzo now will take the lead of this race under the safety car. Hender in second, actually. So Hender's made up a lot of places here as well. And just looking else, he's made up a lot of places. Orton up to 4th place. He's gone past Sanders. Oh, he's probably just letting these go through. But Orton up to 4th. Just looking who else. That's right up to 5th. This is everyone, I think, trying to figure out where the hell they should be slotting in right now.
Yeah, I mean, Orton didn't come into the pits, so Orton... Or did he come into the pits? No, I think he did. No, yeah, Orton came in, I think.
Every single person here came to the pits. So there's people that short-fueled, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Because if you look, the original leaders of this race... Well, Phillips is in 15th. Berger's in 19th. And Dowell's 20th. Oh my word! So there has definitely been some different strategies playing out in the pits here in terms of fuel, tyres, and everything else. Potentially even damage repair, because I wouldn't be surprised if Dowell had damage after that trip across the curb earlier on.
Well, they do get a couple of fast repairs in this series, so they should be able to get those cars fixed nice and quick. But yeah, I imagine it was just fuel and tyres, and then meanwhile Orton just taking fuel, 23 seconds worth of fuel, not taking tyres. But yeah, I don't know. Because this feels slightly, well, very unjust for the former race leaders. But of course, it was just a mistake, and it does mean that Rizzo is leading this race because he got those pit stops done earlier on. Will the safety car be coming in? No, the safety car lights are still on, so we will go for another lap.
More pit callers as well in the background.
Yeah, so these are now the drivers trying to get done their second pit stop. They're trying to get them both done under the safety car. And this will put them to the back of the train. So wait to see all the guys who were leading this race come into the pits for a second time. And this will put them right to the back of the train. It's pretty much flips the order the opposite way round to what it was.
Let me just think, though. Put yourself in Ross Rizzo's shoes right now. What are you going to be thinking at the seat of that car, knowing you're in the lead, after being stuck in the mid-pack, getting a stop and go because of an incident under the first safety car, and now being in the lead of the race, with just over half an hour to go? What are you thinking as a driver going through that? Because that is going to be not only a fairy tale story if he does take home a race win here, but also I think he might be a bit confused and surprised at the same time right here, as with most people.
I mean, he's usually very reserved, is Ross, and very humble. Whenever a driver is near his pace, he'll always say, "Oh, they had more pace than me tonight," even though he won by like 10 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, by 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah, and so I'm sure he will be saying that, but I think he'll be just this time. So it'll be great to have a chat with him after the race. I was expecting not to have to chat to him tonight, but
he'll always find a way, Sam. He'll always find a way.
So, and he did pit on lap 21, so that was 9 laps ago. So yeah, he can go to the end of the race. He's got old tyres, but he should be fine. So Rizzo, Hender, Cooper, pretty much everyone has pitted twice now, apart from Byron Phillips in 10th position. He still needs to pit. Everyone else in the field I am seeing has pitted twice already. So everyone's pretty much in the order that they should be to the end of the race. There should be no more pit stops for the remaining half an hour. The great news
We
for
hope.
Rizzo is that there's pretty much no one near him who you really feel like can put a pressure on him. I mean, Hender's not bad. Certainly, Hender's a quality driver. Jansen's, of course, an elite driver. But, you know, there's no Hupperts, there's no Huggen, there's none of those there's none of those other top drivers near him. So, yeah, this is looking potentially like it could be an easy race win from here on in for the car number 1.
We say an easy race win, it is Monza. And of course, the lights being out on the safety car, the wave around being completed, that Porsche is going to be pulling away into the pit lane not too long from now. And Rizzo is going to be looking in his mirrors and seeing a load of about 30 GT cars behind him and going, well, same as always. But we'll see what Hender can do. I have a feeling that Hender might have a look into turn 1 potentially, just to try and get ahead of Rizzo, try and see what he can do. We will have just over half an hour of racing to go when we go back to green. We're 59 minutes through this race. We'll have about 30 minutes to go. The pace car pulls in. When does the leader jump? The number 1 on the Ford GT off the first place car. He will jump now as we go back to green here at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza here for the AMF GT Series. And it's a beautiful jump for Ross Rizzo. Hender's got Cooper right behind him now. The Porsche trying to make as big a move as possible. A lot of shifting around in the back in the midfield of GT as well. That looks like Paul Warwick. No, not Paul Warwick. So that's Phillips getting moved on. Dyke also diving up the inside of Taylor. More cars trying to make their way through. Does everyone get through turns 1 and 2 cleanly? It looks like they will indeed. Oh, bit of argy-bargy in the mid-pack, but nothing out of the ordinary here. Just trying to look if anyone is, anyone majors made their way up the order at all, and that is Warwick and Chigavatsira getting overtaken. So beautiful move by the call. That actually is going to put the Porsche of Phillips a bit off kilter there. Allow Warwick to get onto the back of him. And obviously Dyke's not too far back either, as these guys make their way through both Lesmos here and head down towards Ascari.
Yeah, Phillips, the one driver who's still got to come into the pits, we think, to finish this race, as Chris Keeping has had a bit of an off further down through the Lesmo. I think he should be able to at least continue on in the race. Yeah, fantastic to see all these cars swarm through the Ascari chicane once again. Ross Steele doing a great job up there in 15th place, battling with Ben Dowell, who's led so many laps of this race. But at least Dell can just set his sights on the drivers ahead. Also, Phillips getting ahead of Chica Vizara down into the Parabolica. So that is another place gained for him. Huppert's trying to gain places as well. He's up into 11th place now as Huppert's. He's made pretty much more pit stops than anyone else. And must have made about 4 pit stops by now. No, he's made 3 pit stops as Nathan Huppert's, and he'll be going to the end of the race as well. And he is clear. Nice work from the Corvette. Still having to defend just ahead was Phillips, but Phillips up into 7th position now. So these top drivers are having to deal with some much slower drivers at the moment, and so these first few laps on the safety car certainly a high prominence of accidents potentially. So far, they've been able to make their way through the order very nicely.
Yeah, this is what we'll love to see as well. The fast guys trying to make their way through. That's Dowell to the inside of Vlog. It's going to be on the outside of the second part, clattering the curves is the Corvette of Vlog. And meanwhile, that's Bailey getting past Deal getting past Bailey. Those two swapping places to the first Lesmo side by side for the Ferrari and the Corvette as well. Not going to be able to make the move work there. Meanwhile, Jansen trying to have a look behind him, because he has got Yemen and Whiting not too far. Those two are side by side up towards Ascari, and that will be Whiting trying to have a look around the outside. Not going to work there, but the BMW might not get the best of runs. A drive-through penalty for Fort Sanders for causing a collision on lap 32. Not surprised by that one in the slightest. But meanwhile, side by side in the background, 2 of the Porsches going very close indeed. Phillips down the inside of Whiting. Phillips obviously trying to make his way back up the order. And I think you said he still has one stop to make, potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. So, again, out of position is that 846, the Mark 1 Esports Porsche. But he will try and make his way down the inside of Yemen. He's going to make that work. He's in the background. That's Huppert's having a look at Warwick. He's going to get that move done, I believe. He's going to be on the outside. But the second part, and there's contact between the two. Round goes Huppert's. And tumbling down the order, the whole field will make their way by. And I think he's just gone, yeah, nope, I'm done. Which is a shame because he was having such a good race as well.
I really think Harper's could have got on the podium because you look at the drivers who he had to overtake. Harper's would fancy his chance against any of them. Still plenty of time left in the race, but yeah, that's really brought that chance to an end, and that really does sum up Harper's season. Partially, he's had some decent results so far this season, but as it seems to always follow him, as did that championship finale a couple of seasons ago when he had a disconnect, which perhaps denied him the title, or his unluck surrounds him. Ross Deal on to Ben Dow. Ben Dow should be pulling away from these guys, so I don't think that's too much of a battle. Deal just trying to stay close at the moment in his Porsche. Yeah, like I said, over on Dow, who led so many laps of this race. By the way, quick shout out to SDK Gaming, who provide our lovely overlay, which you can see up on screen, and you can get a similar overlay if you're doing broadcasting, streaming, or if you're doing racing, you can get a fantastic heads-up display with a fuel calculator and everything. So do check out SDK Gaming for all of that. Just behind Dyson, I think that was Williams and Bowden battling one another, two elite drivers quite far down the order. Also Phillips, I think, has just got past Janssen for third position. It's tricky to keep up to date with everything that's going on, but you can see how that's a sea of orange in these positions. So we'll keep our eyes on this one because this one could implode anytime.
Yeah, it could indeed. Meanwhile, just a big Cadillac Chancellor trying to make his way past Jewel. He's going to be on the outside of Curva Grande, not too far back as the dual Ferraris of Hagen and Bread. And Gallo's actually, obviously, as you said, not far off, only about 4/10. Side by side, a few bits in front. That's Dyke being overtaken. That's Dyke and Dowell side by side. Meanwhile, that's Chancellor making his way through and Jewel. So that's Dowell getting past the GT of the GT4, sorry, of Dyke. Meanwhile, a bit further in the background, that's Gallo having to get out of the way of Williams, who just forces his way down the inside there to get into the top 20. Of course, Dyson now squirming on the back of that Ferrari, trying to find every which way and when to get through, and just getting by, I believe. Although Gallo, I think, has had a disconnect, which is absolutely horrible to see, especially at this late place. Williams has also got a problem. I think he's had a disconnect as well, because he has just dropped from his position as well. So, shame to see for those guys. But a bit further up the front, I do see a move being made. It's one of the Corvettes trying to make his way down. So I'm trying to get which Corvette it was. That was Dowell getting passed by Vlok getting passed by Dowell, and Vlok's now going to have Dyke on the inside. This is going to be side by side towards turn one. The Ford having a look, and it's going to have the Porsche of Deal not too far back, but the Corvette does have the straight line speed compared to the Ford. In the background, you got Ferrari versus BMW, but Porsche versus Ford into turn one as well. They're going to be 3 wide in the background as well, as Deal gets his way past Dyke, slides it up the inside, but then spins the car around. And he's in a very bad spot as he collects one of the Ferraris down. Not too sure who that was he collected, but it seems to have not caused too many problems for said Ferrari. A bit of an impatient rejoin, I feel, planting the throttle and pushing it forward. Might get done for that, not too sure. That is Deal also having Van der Berger, who's down in 21st now, trying to make his way up after his pit stop. Sorry, we go to a replay of that incident. On board with Deal as he hits the brakes. It was a beautiful move, got the car nicely slid up the inside, and then puts it through, tips it around, maybe got a bit of help, and then puts his foot down and just collects the Ferrari. Thankfully, that Ferrari managing to carry on without any problems. but does put Deal down in 22nd, right behind the 21st place of Van der Berger, and they've actually got Rudd in front, and then there's even more fighting going on in front. And geez, these guys are just chopping and changing places. And they go, Deal gets a penalty for causing a collision, stop and hold. That'll be for that unsafe rejoin. No surprise there. Try to see which car that was. A few places up. I believe that was Chancellor he actually collected there, who's just sat behind Dyson. It was indeed. Shame to see. Meanwhile, that's Rudd having a look to the inside, I believe, of Bowden. Is. So they're going to be side by side as well. Is Ferrari going to make his way into pit lane? Yes, he is. And that was very, very big. And that was not very smart by, I believe, I'm not too sure who that actually was in that Porsche, but that was not a very smart thing to do. But of course, these things happen. And that's going to cause Chancellor even more problems. And Bowden now having a look at the back of Rudd. I actually believe it was Rudd that was involved there. But as the race starts to calm itself down with 20 minutes left of this race just over, I think we're finally getting to that nice and calm position now. Never mind, Hender and Phillips are going at it.
Yeah, I don't know about that pit lane entry, because that was just a lack of communication between the drivers. It is a risk at Monza. So I'm sure the stewards will be looking at that. But Hender versus Phillips, yep, Phillips should be passed here. Past Hender pretty quick. Don't think, could he catch up to Rizzo? Rizzo's got older tyres. He's got about 20 lap old tyres. Maybe not 20 lap old tyres, but maybe 10 lap older tyres. So might be able to catch up here, Phillips, who just lifts out on the throttle on the run to Parabolica. I do believe Phillips has got to pit again. On my screen, he's only pitted once. And you got to pit twice in this series as a matter of rules. So he's probably gonna have to come in again, but he's having a fun race anyway, and he's trying to at least build that gap up to the drivers behind, so when he makes that pit stop, it's not too damaging for him. 30-second stop and hold for Rudd. I assume that was for the collision coming into the pit lane. As Phillips is up ahead now of Hender, and he will try to chase down Rizzo. He's got a chance of chasing down Rizzo. He's only 5 seconds behind. You can see if Phillips started or took the restart in like 10th place. He's able to take all those drives, and yet he's still only 5 seconds behind. So depending on how far he can go, he might put a challenge on the race leader, as that big pack of cars, which are just on the outskirts of the top 20, has broken up a bit, and this is now one of the tightest battles on circuit. Taylor, Dowell and Cooper having a superb run at the moment. I don't think he'll finish in 8th place, but he started in 38th position. So if he could hold on to any of these places, it would be a very good result for him.
Yeah, indeed. And Cooper, of course, having a very, as you said, a very, very solid race, but one of, our old race leader Dowell right behind him, breathing down his neck. If he can hold Dowell off, I think he can be very, very happy man at the wheel of that Porsche, the 401, the Cooper Motorsport Porsche. Make their way through Ascari. Just needs to keep it clean, just needs to keep it within the lines and just get the run out of the corner. And the Ferrari will not start to struggle, but will struggle to be able to keep up with him, because again, the Ferrari may have the legs, but the Porsche does have better traction. But to the inside looks Dowell, just showing his nose, maybe trying to put him off balance a bit, maybe just trying to, make him look, make him mistake, maybe take his eyes off the line for all of a half a second, and give him a shot. Well, it has given him a shot, because closing. Someone get the Jaws music on cue, because down the inside will go Dowell into the braking zone of turn 1. Will Cooper try and hold it on the outside? No, he's going to let him go. Smart idea. Just keep yourself going as best you can. You've got Taylor and Vlock about half a second back. You can maybe stay in the slipstream of Dowell. You'll be in for a very, very good finish indeed.
Yeah, that's going to be his best bet. Probably. GT's slipstream isn't too strong, but I think Cooper might have enough pace to keep up with him for the next couple of laps or so. Then, Taylor, Vlock, who of course went for the alternative strategy earlier on, came in under the safety car, and could be another top 10 for Block. He had a very good round at the last endurance at Suzuka, I think managing to finish in P9 on that occasion. Whiting going for surely what would be his best ever results that I can recall, but he's got Yearman as well. He's also going for personal best, and they nearly take each other out. Whiting just coming across behind Yearman in the end, but that would have been tragic if the couple of them had come to blows. Here it was from Whiting, I think losing control of the car, did he? And then took too much curb. Yeah, it took too much curb, and yeah, that could have been a whole lot worse. Could have even got Chica Bizarra involved as well if they were unlucky.
He probably didn't think he had much room on the outside. He thought he had less than he did, so he turned the car and it bounced over the curb. He got very lucky to not end up in the side of Yearman, so very thankful indeed. Meanwhile, Chica Bizarra down the inside. He's going to lock up a lot, so he's going to have to cut the chicane there and have to let that BMW back through, although he has not done so yet. But there's the slowdown, and through will go the BMW, the 785. Beautiful job, and beautiful defense actually from Yemen, doing a very good job indeed. These guys up 20 and 23 places. Meanwhile, there's Dowell to the inside of Whiting, and that is a beautiful move done actually around the outside of the second part. It's a very difficult thing to do, especially when you know that the car on the inside is going to want to wash out wide. And Dowell may even look at a top 5, maybe even a top 3 potentially if he keeps this pace up.
Yeah, I think a top 3 is a good shot, because if Phillips has to pit, then that's 6th, and then he can catch up to Yearman and Chica Bizarra. Any more than that would be tricky. Maybe Hender. I don't think he'll catch up to Janssen. But yeah, certainly top 5 should be easy enough for Dell here. Should just need to pull off one more overtake. Has been a very good drive from Ben, who we know is a very good driver, but usually goes under the radar. Anything but tonight, as Jewel and Braid have gone off. Cameras can't even see that one. That is an odd place to crash. That is a Ascari. The second part of a Ascari. Now, we barely ever see crashes.
I have a feeling he was helped round here.
Well, he's looking by himself, albeit it has involved a couple of cars. He takes too much curb, and then he's going to come back onto circuits and took out the BMW as well, I think.
And I think he would have been locked on the brakes, I think, as well. I doubt he would have been hard on the brakes, but that is a very, very weird place. Those were on board. No, I had only said that he probably would have been helped around because of where he was. It's very rare to go off there at that bit yourself, to be there. Oh, the rear end gets loose, that puts it on the curb. He spins it around, he's on the brakes, and it just... Oh, just the slightest of touches, and it sends the car flying into the barriers. This is on board with Jules, so this would be the other driver that was involved in 396, the BMW. You're going to see the Ferrari exit off stage right, and enter stage right. Oh, that's a big hit as well. And I think, does he get collected? Because you said there was a couple of cars involved, but I think he gets away with it.
Yeah, he was almost on the apex, wasn't he, through the final part of Ascari? So that is so unfortunate when you get plucked like that, just as he tried to race past. Really, nothing he could do in that scenario. Vlok no, he's not past Cooper yet. Taylor has lost out to Vlok, I think. Huggen now with these guys in 12th place. By the way, a driver who I thought might win the race earlier on, Michael Healy, is out of the race. I don't know what happened to Healy, but he got his 2 pit stops done really early on in the race. He was well ahead of Rizzo. If Michael's listening along, let us know what happened, Michael, because I thought he was in line to win this race, but so we haven't seen him since the pit stop, since the safety car. In fact, is this gonna show it? Oh, Scott Newton absolutely on it tonight. Unfortunately, I can't see this one for some reason. I guess it was too far behind for me, but sure the viewers can see.
Just a slight spin and then clattered by one of the Porsches. I'm not too sure who that was, but it just seems, I think that was just damage, and I think he's just gone. Yep, just that. I think he's just decided there's no point in continuing with the damage that he's got. I'm not going to gain anything out of it. But it's a shame it was just such a simple little accident. Not even, not even one of those things. It's just the car decided that it wanted to go around. Oh no, he actually got helped round. Sorry, I take it back. He got helped round and then got collected. So, ooh, unlucky there.
Yeah, shame for Mike. He may have used both of his faster pairs. They do get 2 faster pairs, but seeing that he'd been into the pits twice already, he may have used them.
Used one by accident.
Yeah, of course they are. They're by default on, but yeah, it's often a tricky decision. If you got a little bit of air damage, do you fix it or do you just leave it? But maybe maybe he had one spare, maybe he did not. Hug and pass Vlok then, so Vlok was unable to stay with Taylor and Cooper. Don't know what happened to Vlok actually there, but Huggins ahead anyway, and now he's going to be past Taylor nice and quick.
I was going to say, he's not going to be behind him. He's not going to be ahead of him for long because of how wide he decided to take the parabolic, and I don't think he's going to be ahead of Vlok or Dyson for much longer either, because those guys are going to have a monster run towards turn 1, potentially later move on the brakes. They're going to potentially be 3 on the braking because Vlok has to defend from Dyson. Down the inside goes the Corvette. And no, he's going to hold off of Dyson, but Vlok will go through.
Another quick shout out to Beyond Blue, which is a mental health charity helping Australians with depression and anxiety. And so if you want to donate to a fantastic cause, which is helping us with this stream, do donate using the link in the description. Yeah, in the description below. Would be much appreciated. But yeah, that move then completed for Hagen and Vlok. Dyson, the next pro to get past Taylor. Stop 13th place would be a good result for Taylor. I'm sure gap for the lead is 3.2 seconds. Philip's still yet to come into the pits. I think he might have enough fuel actually to get to the end, but as per the rules, as I keep on saying, does have to pit twice. I mean, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe our timing screens are wrong. But according to our time screens, he has come into the pits 1 time in this race. And he didn't come in twice under the safety car, unlike pretty much everyone else. So, or unlike the other front runners at least. So it's not looking... I don't think he'll be able to get to the end. His pace is very good though. He has been able to close the gap to the leader 1/10 of a second faster that last time round. But we'll leave it till the end of the race, I think, to make that stop. So he can build up a nice lead. Yeoman, Chicken Bizarra and Dal are very close to one another. Dal has rapidly closed in on these guys. Probably because they've been fighting so hard. And there goes Dal. He's going to make up 1 place. Contact between the 2 of them, almost a quarter panel. And Dal up into 6th position. Yeoman, the next driver to get past. And well, that's basically 5th now with Fizz. Oh, that was a little bit unusual there for Dal, but kind of stops.
I think that's been his normal braking point. He's just braking so much later than these guys, so much more confident on the brakes in that 488 compared to the BMW and the Corvette. And that's mainly where the pace comes from around here, being so confident under traction, so confident under the brakes. If you can brake even slightly later, you're going to find time. And that's sort of where he's been braking for the majority of the race when I've been looking at him. So not really an unusual place for Dow to be braking. But of course, he's now got an immovable object in front of him known as the BMW M8 GTE. But of course, shout outs to Yemen, who's up 20 places again, 20 places. And I think the only person that I've seen that's really majorly ahead of that is Cooper, who's up 28 places for his starting grid. That is absolutely amazing to see. You know how many of these guys have made up so many places this race.
Yeah, I mean, I've commentated on a lot of races over the last few years, but I don't think I can remember a race where a safety car has made such a big difference, because it literally flips the table. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, where literally the further down you were, the better it was for you, whether like the higher up you'd be. I mean, Rizzo literally went from like 20th to the lead.
He went from 28th to the lead, so yeah, he gave 27 places out of it.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I do feel bad. I'm sure there'll be discussion on the Discord later on. It was a mistake, the safety car. A little bit of a shame, if anything, because it's been a good race apart from that. But I think it would have been even better with the different strategies. In the end, everyone was on the same strategy. Oh no, that is Dyson almost around. Well, he should be able to catch back up now. But that was with Cooper, who... I'm not sure. What did you think of that one? Did one car come
I looked away from my screen for 3 seconds and something happened. this is what happens whenever I commentate anything. But we're gonna have the replay. Let's see what happens. So Dyson will dart to the left-hand side. Under brakes. I mean, I'd still put that on Cooper because he does move left slightly, but of course, you know, I'd say more on Cooper, but I personally would say racing instance that, because again, we didn't see the onboard, so the rear could have locked or something similar. But either way, there's a Corvette trying to have a sniff up the rear. To the inside goes Vlok. I think he might have a nice and easy move up the inside through the parabolica there. Yep, he does indeed. I'm just having a look at the replay again on the stream, and honestly, I think Dyson actually moves across a bit. I don't know, I think that's 50-50 there, in personal. But of course, that's why we have stewards. They'll review things, they have more camera angles than we do, and they will make the appropriate call. Meanwhile, that I think is Chancellor in the pits, and Bowden as well, making their final stops with just over 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I thought, Breeze into the pits for, apologies, yeah, Bowden. So yeah, but Bowden only pitted one time. No, I think he pitted twice, so yeah, strange final pit stop, maybe he ran out of fuel. Phillips, look at that gap come down. And I'm still waiting for him to come into the pits. I'm a broken
What
record.
classifies as a pit stop in this series again? Please remind me, because...
You got to come into the pits and come to a stop in your pit stop, basically. And our
surely he can come in, stop, and then just bolt again. Because
I mean, that's what I'm expecting, yeah.
That's what I'm expecting. And, you know, if he's done that, maybe under safety, because I think I saw him come in under safety car. I'm not sure, but I'd have to go over the footage. But I'm fairly certain he probably did something like that. And he is legitimately able to get to the end here.
I think he did it once. But
Because
he wasn't
up the front. He wasn't up the front at the end of that second safety car. He was in the mid-pack when everyone else dived in. And you said he made it once under an original safety car. So, I don't know. I think he might have been on a blinder and completely confused us. And I think that's why Rizzo's put his foot down a bit. Because Rizzo's laps haven't exactly been slow. He's been pushing. And the gap between Phillips and Hender has gone up. So I wouldn't be surprised if Phillips doesn't need to stop again. So we could have, for the final 5 minutes of this race, a legitimate race for the lead on our hands.
I hope he doesn't have to pit. Even though
I have the same opinion.
Yeah, because this one would be a close one. But Rizzo, he just has these kind of challenges for a race. You know, it's rare that a driver will challenge him 2 races in a row. But, you know, a new challenger approaches and he just, you know, swipes them off the face of the earth with a...
literally or metaphorically?
Yeah. And this might be the same occasion here, because it's going to get close. But just as Davidson has a couple of times this season, just as James Scott did at Interlagos, might well be beaten after all, as he does go for another lap. So it is looking increasingly like he can get to the end. He's pushing like mad. 4 tenths of a second faster than that last lap. We have got 2 more laps in this race. If he keeps that up, he won't overtake. He will finish the race about 8 tenths of a second behind. But a mistake from Rizzo, and this would very much open it up.
Dowell, meanwhile, trying to make up more places alongside Yemen as they come down the start-finish straight. The Ferrari getting the legs on the BMW. This is now a top 5 for Dowell after he was outside of the top 10 on that restart. Meanwhile, the BMW late on the brakes, the rear end steps out. He's going to be on the inside for the second part of the chicane. Is he going to be able to hold it? They've got Zera there as well, but Dowell's going to hold it to the inside of Curva Grande. He's going to be on the outside for the braking of the Variante chicane. But I don't know if that BMW is going to be able to hold it under the brakes. No, but he's going to try it anyway. Yemen's still looking. He wants that top 5. He wants a very good place over the curbs. They both clatter. There's contact between the two. And they will both get through. Still on the inside is down for the first Lesmo. Huggins there as well. He sniffs the top 5 here at the end of this race. Meanwhile, Yemen is causing a bit of a train now behind him. Through the second Lesmo they go. I think that Huggins got a run there. Whiting in that Porsche is not far back either. He's looking for a very good result as well. Dyson's about 3.8. So if any of these come together, he could be right on the back of these guys as well. But here goes Dowell trying to have a look. The BMW takes a bit of a wider entry through Ascari. Will the Ferrari be able to get a run? Potentially. I don't think he will, though. The BMW is known to be very good down a straight, but the Ferrari is still known to be slightly better. Phillips into the pit lane, so this is now the fight for 4th place, potentially. Meanwhile, Dowell to the outside of the parabolic. He's going to try and make it work. Try and get a run. Janssen onto the podium. Hender into 2nd. But Dowell on the outside of Yemen. That's Huggins to the inside of Zera there as well. He's going to get that move done. Phillips is on pit exit, so these guys are going to be fighting for 4th overall. You see Phillips as they actually go past. This is now 4th. Phillips is there. He could get a top 5 still with one lap to go. Or 2, I'm not too sure. But Dowell gets the move done. Huggan potentially having a look at Yemen. This is for 5th between those two, but Dowell's potentially going to start pulling away now. And then Yemen's just got to look in his mirrors and think, right, I've got a gap. Let's hold this. I'm still on for a very, very solid top 5 finish here. And the Corvette trying to get back into 6th as well. Huggan over the curb. The Corvette over the curb as well. Whiting is still looking, and you could see Phillips in the background. He actually got out in front of Dyson as well, so Phillips still in that top 10. But of course, we have to look up to the front of the field.
Yeah, Rizzo still leading the way, and that test from Phillips in the end didn't put Rizzo off his course, and a race win that I think he'll feel borderline guilty for. He was unlucky, to be fair, in the early stages, and somehow Ross Rizzo is going to take another race victory at Monza. The car number 1, the championship leader, with a brilliant result. Hender is going to get his best result in AMF history with a very big surprise 2nd place, gaining 30 places. Apologies, maybe not 30 places for start, but a lot of places for start. As we've got Chica Fazaria, who was racing so well off the circuit. I think another driver fell off the circuit as well. Huggan
in Yemen.
in 5th. Somehow, Dowell was in 4th. Huggan gaining about 3 places on the last lap. Whiting beat Phillips by 3/1000ths of a second. Phillips was so unlucky not to finish further up, but a very nice alternative strategy from him by not pitting twice under the pace car. Dyson and Vlock round out the top 10, and the rest of the drivers will come across. Orton in a disappointing 13th after running as high as 4th at one point. And still a few more guys to reach the line. Bowden and Forsyth Hupperts will finish in a lowly 20th after a spin soon after the safety car restarts. And the other drivers coming across. What a race win! Alex. That was in AMF recently. We've had very few safety cars, and that kind of applies to last season as well. The race results were less random. That was like an AMF race from about 3 seasons ago, where literally you could not predict anything that would happen. Where if you were leading the race in the first part of the event, it was almost inevitable that you'd get involved in something that was incredibly unpredictable and incredibly entertaining.
I'd also just like to mention Huggan in Yemen separated by 500ths of a second across the line. That is how close it was for that top 5 position, and I feel so heartbroken that Yemen didn't get it. He drove such a solid defensive race towards the end there. But of course, as you said, just probably, I think, one of the best AMF races we've had, especially this season. I think one of the best, one of the most action-packed, and of course, extremely unpredictable, which personally I absolutely love. I love not knowing who's going to finish until the end, because you always get a bit of a surprise, and for an hour and a half's racing, I'm definitely not disappointed.
Absolutely. 49 laps racing, 2 cautions, remember. And in the end, the finishing order was Ross Rousse winning out. We should be able to show you your finishing results up on screen. And yeah, it was Rizzo who managed to take the spoils for another time this season. I think that was round 6, was it? And I think he's only lost a couple of meetings so far this season. It always just seems to have that little bit extra. 12 seconds clear in the end. But it was that doesn't tell you a tenth of the story of the race. Brett Hender was in second place. Steve Janssen, really good third place. He pitted very early on in the race, and so I was always in for the safety car didn't really help Janssen that much. I think he would have been up there regardless, but still really maximised that strategy in third. Ben Dell finishes a valiant 4th place, but he will feel like the race win could have been his. Tom Huggan could he have won the race in 5th place. Then it was Daniel Yearman with a great result. Byron Phillips, he could have won perhaps. Michael Whiting was in 8th place. Andrew Dyson and Adrian Block ran at the top 10. Behind that was Chris Taylor, Matt Bailey, Will Alton, Lee Cogan, Paul Warwick, Todd George, Brock Kelly. Nathan Hupperts was in 18th. Then it was Aaron Cooper. Apologies. Yeah, Cooper. Yeah, my screen's got slightly different results, but pretty much the same. Bowden, Forsyth, then Barnes, keeping Chikavazara, Benson Jewell, Aaron Cooper, Chris Weitzel, Shane Chancellor, and Dale Braid in 28th place. We're already into the non-finishers. They do get 2 fast repairs, so that shows the attrition rate of the race. Yeah, Chancellor in 27th, Braid in 28th, Vandenberg, Jamie Dyke, Dylan Rudd, Ross Steele, Pat Gallo, Kobe Williams, Michael Healy. What could have been for Michael? He had such a good strategy. Literally, the safety car should have played into his hands. It didn't in the end. Bradley Sanders, Danny Davison. What could have been for him? And Timothy Bevan, some real heavy hitters. Really not getting a good crack at the race win tonight. So we've got a couple of interviews, and in fact, actually, just first up, I will give a quick shout out to another one of our supporters for this championship and for this broadcast, Apex Racing Academy. Apex Racing Academy providing 29 data packs for cars ranging from prototypes, GTs, rallycross cars even, and single-seaters. They have some coaching from some of the best drivers in iRacing, lots of World Championship drivers such as Kevin Ellis Jr. and Peter Berryman. So if you want to check out all of that, plus telemetry, circuit guides, one-on-one coaching and group coaching sessions, check out apexracingac.com for more details. So we will now check up our race winner, Ross Rizzo. Ross, you've had about half an hour to reflect on that second safety car, but I'm still struggling to get my head around it. How on earth did you get the race lead there? I guess you couldn't believe your eyes.
Yeah, it happened because I'd done both my pit stops before the SC, and being, the iRacing safety car, you can't make the pit stop under yellow, and I think people made that mistake where they came in. So I cycled from basically a lap down to the front, and I'm like, well, this is wrong. This is actually very unfair on kind of everyone who was trying to do the right thing by the assuming the normal safety car, and obviously it being the iRacing safety car really made a mess of everything. So I just want to say to everyone, I want to apologize for my involvement in tonight's result. I had a really scrappy race as well. being black flagged and being involved in incidents. So I do want to apologise for that, because I do pride myself on cleanliness and sportsmanship, and this is certainly the way I don't want to get results.
I mean, yeah, we were talking before, and we kind of knew that you'd be kind of apologetic, because that incident with the stop and hold, we were shocked, frankly, because of course it's so rare for yourself to get a penalty, to get involved in stuff like that. But it looked like that Monza curse was coming back, but managed to get the race win in the end. Did you know in the closing stages that Byron still needed to come into the pits, or were you racing him as though he was chasing you down for the race win?
Definitely both, because I knew everyone else had cycled back, and I knew Byron was part of that front pack, so it kind of makes sense why he's racing out of position relative to them, that it would make sense that he had to make the second stop. So it was a shame that he had to pit on the last lap. I was hoping that at least we'd get a final lap battle to make it a little bit more exciting, but the rules are rules. I can obviously he wouldn't want to get a penalty for not having done that second pit stop, but I knew that I had a big hunch that he hadn't made the stop.
We're now, I think, into the second half of the season, potentially. You must have a huge championship lead now. I mean, you've been challenged for pretty much every round this season, but by different drivers, and you've kind of been the only one who's consistently been up there. Is it tricky to keep kind of your intensity and your kind of practice regimen up when you've got the championship kind of in hand already, or do you find it quite easy to kind of keep up that focus even when maybe the results aren't quite so imperative?
No, I insist on putting my best foot forward regardless, because I mean the series and the competitors deserve the top respect, and the best thing I can do is put in the best performances I can, and tonight was the race, was kind of in an example of that race, that I didn't want to take the race win, but I'm going to play the whistle, because I kind of want to hope that race control look at this as a non-points round, or I know they can't reinstate the results that should have been, but they can nullify the results that were. And no disrespect to Brett Hender and the remainder of the guys that got results, but yeah, it's I feel like it's terrible that the guys that were at the front and deserved to be at the front weren't when it counted.
Absolutely, I think that's well. So I'm sure the admins will be chatting what to do with the result. Congratulations, Ross! It is another race win, at least provisionally. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Certainly the AMF organisers. Obviously, tonight was a bit of a big blemish on what's otherwise been, an impeccable record of very well run races, and it was undone by a simple button press. So it happens, but I certainly hope that AMF are able to learn and understand and make contingencies for mishaps like this. And I certainly hope the rest of the competitors and on Discord show the respect that these guys deserve, and hopefully we can come to the right solution and right outcome for a race that was made a mess by a complete accident. So please continue to show the respect you guys have deserved. Have shown, and acknowledge that this was a mistake. And also, I just want to thank. I need to thank the great guys at Trick Esports, Trick Custom Fabrications, and Pro Sim Gear for their incredible support and words of encouragement. And I'm probably going to cop a bit of a hiding about the whole about how lucky I get. It's kind of a very running joke in our Discord that I inherit wins in insane conditions, and this is by far the biggest one, and that's saying a lot. So look, thanks guys, thanks Apex Racing, and hopefully next week is a return to formality of clean and exciting racing done properly.
Yeah, we can certainly vouch for that. Ross, thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck for next time.
Thanks very much, guys.
So that was Ross Rizzo, then your race winner for tonight. Another quick shout out to one of our other sponsors, Virtual Racing School, which provide, I think, 40 updated packs, once again with some fantastic coaching and some fantastic setups. Some of the best drivers on iRacing. Also, telemetry's kind of intertwined with Apex Racing Academy, so certainly do check out Virtual Racing School if you're looking to improve on your racing. Some fantastic oval stuff as well, which you can get your hands on. Alex, I think we are going to have a chat with our second place man now.
Well, we are, and I was just having a laugh with Brett just now, because obviously Ross was saying about how he inherits these wins and such and saying additions, and how I managed to somehow become a fortune teller, which is to quote Brett himself. But Brett, my friend, what a great self to end up where you ended up today. I mean, you must be happy. Come on.
I'm sitting here with a massive smile on my face, like you just wouldn't believe. My first race here in quite a while. I did not expect a second place. I mean, unfortunate for everybody else with that safety car, but I'll definitely take it.
And at the end of the day, it happens, but you've still got to be in the position to prioritize from it. And I think you put yourself in that position in that 701 the Fusion Sim Racing Ferrari, and I think it just feels so nice, doesn't it, to be able just to suddenly see, hold a minute, I'm gaining. Why am I here?
Yeah, totally. And all I kept those last few laps was, don't bin it. And we made it. So, yeah.
I was say, how was it fighting, with all those guys for the majority of that race, and then suddenly being like, where is everyone?
Yeah, exactly. When that safety car come out, and then next thing you know, the 2's next to my name. I'm like, what? How does this happen?
What? You can see that Ford GT in front of you going, oh god.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, Ross, here we go. It's you and me, mate. But no, he went off into the distance, and then I thought I would get swallowed up by the pack. But that was one thing I was happy about. I didn't. So yeah, and stayed there till the end. So stoked, absolutely stoked.
Yeah, and as we enter the second half of the season, how are you feeling? Does this sort of boost your confidence, thinking, yeah, I've got some luck on my side, I've got some pace on my side now? Does this sort of boost your confidence going into the rest of the season, or
yeah, definitely.
Are you still being realistic, quote unquote?
No, I'm being realistic. Like, my goal tonight, because I haven't raced in a while, was to make top split, and I made that, and then I was in 20th. So my goal was to try and make a top 10, keep my nose out of trouble. I had a bit of trouble early on with all the madness on those first couple of laps, but was able to use a fast repair and then just really stayed out of trouble. But yeah, going for the rest of the season, it depends on what's happening with my family situation, whether I can race or not. So hopefully I can make another couple.
It'd be an absolute pleasure to have you with us again for the rest of the season, especially after a result like today, boosting your confidence going into the rest of the season. Is there anyone that you would like to thank at all before we sort of wrap this up?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to, of course, thank the team, Fusion Sim Racing, and our sponsors, simrigs.com, Psychonic Solutions, Eclipse Signage, and Daryl Carter Plastering.
Oh, there you go. Your second place finisher, Brett Hender. I'd say a surprise second place finisher, but I'm not too surprised after the pace that you had today, my good friend. Take care of yourself, and we'll hopefully, I hope to heck, we see you for the rest of the season, good sir.
Thank you.
Oh, what a race, Sam.
Yeah, it was absolutely remarkable. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a chat with Steve Jansen, which would have been nice, actually, because, of course, Steve's a veteran of the season, been around for so many seasons. Doesn't get a whole lot of podiums, but a little bit of a shame that Steve can't have a chat with us. But, yeah, hopefully he can replicate it for next time. Once again, as I've alluded to a couple of times already today, Beyond Blue is helping us produce this broadcast tonight. They are a mental health charity based in Australia. It's a fantastic cause, so if you want to donate a little bit of money to them, there is a link in the description below to Beyond Blue. Certainly would be a good place to put your money. So yeah, big thanks to them for helping out the series and this broadcast on Apex Racing TV. Yeah, what a race it was. I said, I mean, interesting what Ross said. I mean, I said he was humble, but you know, to almost be happy to give away the race win there. Still would say he deserved it. However, I mean, to drive 12 seconds clear of the rest of the order off a restart with 20 minutes to go, not easy to do. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the points post race and how that affects the rest of the championship.
Definitely, indeed. You know, Ross, again, a very humble man himself, a guy that, you know, is known for, you know, wanting fairness and clarity and everything. You know, I'm not surprised by what he said. Yeah, I spoke to him just before we brought him in, sort of thing, and he said it to me, and I wasn't entirely surprised when he said it. But yeah, no, again, you know, a man that is happy to give away a win to people that he thinks, quote unquote, deserve it, you know, is a man that, you know, has the best interests of the field at heart. And of course, we know he could have gone and won that race quite happily if he wanted to. But of course, incidents happen. It's Monza. It's known for it. But of course, we still have another half of the season to go.
Yeah, still got 3 more rounds to go. Next week will be at Road America, so potentially a similar race to this one, but just a normal sprint round. And then we got the mystery round for the penultimate round, and Sebring as well to cap off this season 14 of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series. Big thanks once again to all of our sponsors, SDK Gaming, Virtual Racing School, and Apex Racing Academy for their support. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. Subscribe to Apex Racing too, because we've got about 20 odd broadcasts going on per week at the moment, ranging from ovals, rallycross, prototypes, single seaters, literally every form of motorsport pretty much we have got covered on Apex Racing TV. So do subscribe, and I'm sure there'll be something that will take your fancy. And also check us out on social media as well, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter as well. And also check out our Twitch channel. We're relaunching our Twitch channel at the moment, hoping to get a little bit of support on that. So if you prefer to watch your races on Twitch rather than YouTube, that will be a possibility for you from henceforth. So do check out our Twitch channel as well and go follow that. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Alex Skinner, and from Scott Neaton, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next Sunday at Road America. See you then.